I'm Legend, I play this game professionally, so I can probably hit rank 1. Alright, so we are against a mage, and we are given 3 cards. Topiary is not a very good card to keep in the open hand unless you are against like a warrior where you might need to generate resources after like a brawl, and the other 2 cards are good. They snowball very well together. You play the Disciple on 4, the Summer Flower Child on 5, and if you happen to hit the Drum Circle, you can play that on 6 for a lot of pressure. This is a 40 card deck, which I was not expecting at all, which means that they are going to hit things like Solid Alibi less consistently, which is great, but they're going to be cards that I have to play around now that I'm not expecting to. For example, the Watcher of the Sun, and a couple of other cards later on down the road. We're going to play the Embrace, and we get the Lifebinder's Gift, and I end up pointing out a Loon. I don't think that's necessarily correct. I could have just continued to play with the same strategy, of just saving my coin, potentially using it to get a solar eclipse with a drum circle later on, but I think it's not that big of a deal. And then I deviate even further from my plan by playing Lunar Eclipse, because I think going into turn 4, they're gonna play something like Cold Case. Cold Case is gonna be 2 more 2/2s along with a 4/4, and I think I need to kill off a minion here in order to limit that damage. Playing the Disciple felt a little bit slow. Both of them felt kind of slow to me, but it was, I don't know. I think playing the 4/4 and sticking with my original plan of the 4 into the 5 into Drum Circle would have been better. In fact, I actually draw Drum Circle here, which means that if I hadn't played like a silly goose, I'd be able to play Drum Circle right now for a pretty big board. Now you see me freaking out a little bit because this is a problem. They play Ignis, right? They get the 1 mana weapon, they take Poisonous, and then the Death Rattle that says deal 1 damage to all enemies. And if I play Drum Circle next turn, the Death Rattle will go off, Poisonous will kill all of my minions, and I lose my big board. They end up playing the 1 mana weapon, and it's not Poisonous. I think this is a misplay, because they should have just kept it in their hand as like this overarching threat, like they could have the Poisonous weapon, but they didn't do that, which is fine. I end up playing the 4/4 now, and my goal is to play the Solar Eclipse with Drum Kit on turn 7 for a really big board. But that's not really going to happen, because they're about to play the Titan after they trade in a couple of times, which means they're gonna make my cards cost 1 more, which is very problematic, honestly. Like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do at this point. I could just play normal Drum Circle, which I think is what I end up doing, and going face, which I think is still correct. It puts tempo on the board, kind of forces them to have like Solid Alibi or something, and right here is where I make a big misplay. I mean, it's not right here, obviously, it's their turn, but they're gonna get 2 random secrets and Light Bomb to wipe my board. Actually, very lucky that they generated that, but then they generate 2 secrets. Now, right here is the problem, because I could have lethal. Double activate Cultivation 1, double activate Cultivation 2 is in fact lethal. The problem is, if one of their cards is Vengeful Visage, I'm gonna take like 13 damage to the face out of nowhere. I'm gonna have to use one of my minions to trade into one of their taunt minions. So I end up losing a minion myself, and all of a sudden, as a mage, they could potentially burst me down with Narganon, right? Because he still has the thing that'll do 20 damage to my face. So I can't risk a Vengeful Visage. So we end up playing pretty slow here. We trade into Narganon so that way we don't lose, and then we play a couple of minions. This turn was an absolute disaster. There are obviously other things I could have done, but because I was worried about Vengeful Visage for so long, I ended up making some misplays here. But we did play the 2 1/1s right at the end of the turn, which means in theory, double Cultivation could give us lethal still if they manage to live, but they're still discovering a lot of cards. There's a chance where I'm not able to kill them. And they play Solid Alibi, so we're not gonna kill them this turn. But luckily, we have Topiary. Oh wait, they've got a secret. We know that it's either Objection or Explosive Runes, so we can't play Topiary. That would basically just waste 7 mana on my turn. So I'm gonna end up just trading my minions in, and since I know it's not Counterspell, I'm just gonna double activate the Drum Circle to get a big new board, and then maybe I can use the double activation of Cultivation to win the game next turn, assuming they don't have another Solid Alibi. They're drawing some cards. Also, Reverberations would be a little bit annoying, but would really only kill like 1 or 2 minions, so it's not that big of a deal. So I just need to hope that they don't have anything too good. They're drawing multiple spells. They do draw another Solid Alibi, which is extremely tilting to me. And at this point, I have a couple of different ways that I want to win. I want to play Bioluminescence with Natural Selection, so that way I'm able to just Like, think about it. Double activate Bioluminescence, double activate Natural Selection. That's like 40 damage right there. That's incredible. It's not like 40, it's like 30 something. But that is awesome. But unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to do that because they're gonna search for new cards. They're probably gonna find another solid alibi or randomly generate a new solid alibi. And the game's gonna keep going for another couple of turns. They are able to wipe several of my minions with one mech, but they don't have a second mech. If they had had two there, that would have been a disaster. And I win the game. All right, so in this matchup, we are against a mirror match, and into the mirror match, you want to keep as many aggressive cards as you can early, because if you're able to just out pressure the enemy Druid with multiple Treants, or potentially get some mana cheat to play an early drum circle, you're probably going to win the game. Unfortunately for me though, they have a Witchwood Apple as well. But I play my Witchwood Apple. I'm not gonna coin anything out yet because I think that the coin to get Drum Circle out one turn sooner is definitely gonna be way more valuable. So they play their 2/2/2s, I'm gonna play my 2/2/2s, and it's gonna be a pretty linear game as far as I'm concerned right now. But then they play another Witchwood Apple, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, hold on. They've got Forest Blossom. Their early game is insane. I thought mine was good. We literally have the exact same opener. I have another Witchwood Apple, and at this point I'm thinking maybe I just natural causes. This is why I have one extra minion on the board, which I think is definitely going to be relevant. And at this point, Cultivation is already at almost 0 mana, which is kind of just insane. They trade into the minions here, which I don't think is great. I play the Seedsman, and at this point, I'm a little bit confused on what to do. Because on the one hand, I could try to put more 2/2s out on the board, but on the other hand, since my early game wasn't that great, like comparatively, both of us just had insane early games, I think, okay, I kind of gotta rely on this now. So we're going to play the Dredge card, and we're going to probably take the Lightbinder's Gift here, so that way we can reduce the cost of spells. But as I was saying, the main win condition of this is just, it's gonna have to be value, right? If I had been able to get a good enough early game, it would have been fine. I'm worried here because I'm assuming they have a Drum Circle, but they don't play Drum Circle. They don't really play anything. I thought they were gonna play a bunch of minions and maybe go Cultivation, so I hovered the concede button a little bit for dramatic effect. But at this point, I have more minions on the board. I'm able to play the Disciple, but I'm not gonna play the Disciple because I remember I have to play my other choose one card first before I accidentally mess that up. It's happened before. And at this point, I've got Drum Circle, and I got a Crash of Thunder. So we're going to play the other, I think, Lifebinder. I don't know if I play the Disciple of Eonar yet. I think I play the Lifebinder to discover 2 more spells. And I get Bioluminescence, which is insane. Look, you might not realize how insane this is, but Bioluminescence with Crash of Thunder and multiple nature spells in my hand is just GG. I mean, I'm losing my mind at this point. I want them to play Drum Circle here, so that way I can go absolutely bonkers crazy. And look at that. Their board is pretty good here, and they pump it up with Cultivation. They emoted me. They thought their game was won. But unfortunately for them, I'm able to build a massive board here. Innervate out, Bioluminescence. I'm able to play Cultivations for free to make the Crash of Thunder free and wipe their stupid board. And you're probably wondering why not play the other Cultivation. The answer is Topier, maybe. If they develop another board, I could also Solar Eclipse to get more Cultivations. Next up, we are against a Hunter, and we are going to keep the Widowbloom Seedsman because we do like having that additional ramp. I don't think it's necessarily the best card to keep in Hunter though, because if you don't have an early 1 or 2 drop to help you defend the board, you might get overrun, but I kept it anyway, and it ends up paying off in this game. So, turn 2, we just kill off the 2/1 because it drawing secrets just endlessly is quite problematic. And then we innervate out the Widowbloom Seedsman, playing into Hidden Meaning, and it ends up being Hidden Meaning, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it ends up being the Tight-Lipped Witness, which is really good for me because it means secrets can't be revealed, and they run a lot of secrets. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to play another minion, and they're just gonna trade their 2/5 into it anyway. I'm gonna play the Flower Child, but it was still funny for them to get a card that like actively works against their deck. They forge that, they're gonna play a couple more secrets, trade their 2/2 in, so their secrets are once again able to be activated. And then I realized my mistake, my blunder. Yeah, the Drum Circle doesn't double activate with both of the choose one effects because I have not played Disciple of Eonar yet. So all of a sudden I'm sitting there thinking like, oh wait, shoot, what do I do? Maybe I play Topier here to develop a bit of a board. I look at what's at the bottom of my deck and I take Embrace of Nature. Solar Eclipse might have been better here, but the Embrace of Nature is definitely not bad either. Both of them are fine. There's an argument for both. And I don't want to hit them in the face because maybe Explosive Trap or Freezing, and I didn't bait it out first. And then I don't want to hit their 2/3 because of Bait and Switch. Also, if I trigger Secrets, it makes their weapon cheaper, and I don't want them to get mana cheat until I'm able to win the game. And this turn, I actually have lethal with Solar Eclipse into double Cultivation. I realize this now. I actually didn't even, and nobody in chat told me either, not during the game or after the game. But yeah, double Cultivation would have still been lethal. I think my worry was Freezing Trap, but even if it had been Freezing Trapped, I think I still had 32 damage. And I guess if it had been like Freezing Trap plus Wandering Monster, then maybe it could have been a problem, I guess. And then I wouldn't have any taunts to live. So there's like a 5% chance I lose there or whatever, but it was not big enough for me to actually worry. They also misclick, so they end up leaving one of the 4/6s alive. They hit their 3/4 into the wrong minion. But I don't think it really matters here because I'm so far ahead at this point. We get to play Topier now. We're able to play that, and then we are able to play a card that reduces the cost of the cards in my hand, and then we just play a bunch of 3/3s, and we're setting up to probably play Cultivation next turn. But yeah, the Cultivation play was probably lethal. I'm 99.9% sure it would have been because nobody's going to take Freezing and Wandering Monster. But, you know, I decided to play a little bit safe, and we didn't get punished for it, which was nice. But yeah, could have been over a couple of turns ago. I know. So in the end, we climbed from 500 Legend, I took a couple days off, don't judge me, to 265 Legend. Overall, this deck was way better than I thought it was going to be, and it was really good on a budget. Kiri is in the core set, and the only other legendary that is in this deck is Topier, and you don't even need him. He makes some control value matchups like Control Warrior and Control Priest a little bit easier because you have this endless minion pool of like a ton of 3/3s, but he's not needed. You could probably run just a Lunar Eclipse to help your early game matchups against aggro, and you'll be just fine.